But all I was doing outside never helped me to find any answer or solution to the question, what do I want to do? What do I really want to do in life? What am I here for? Your podcast with Sabrina Gundert about following your heart and going well through threshold times in life. And in one internship, people held or made parties after work when they got fired. And I was thinking like, oh, I can't do this for 40 years. And then I started to go to several meditation centers in Switzerland. I was working, I was just helping cleaning toilets, helping in some seminars, things like this. And at one afternoon, I was sitting on the mountain Rigi near the Lake Lucerne in Switzerland. And I was just getting me a pencil and a piece of paper. And I was writing down, I will work as a freelancer. I will do creative writing lessons. I will have a website named like handgeschrieben.de, which was my first website then. And all the answers arrived at that moment when I became still and silent inside. It's like in this saying, there's a crack in everything. That's where the light comes in. It's like this. And for me, this is this winter time. When you tell life, I don't know the answer, help me. When you don't try to find it or fix it. And in German, there's this author called Rainer Maria Rilke, who wrote a lot of books and poems. And in one book called Briefe an einen jungen Dichter, which means like letters to a young poet. And there he writes about this not knowing as try to think of your questions like books which are written in a foreign language, which you don't understand yet. It's about finding the strength in ourselves when there are a lot of questions in life, when life turns upside down, when there's no security anymore, when you maybe lost your partner, when you lost your job, when you lost the sense of life, whatever was maybe meaningful for you. And whenever this happens, it's so helpful to go inside, to find peace or to find some minutes, some hours, some days to go in the forest, to sit near a lake, to start watching the silence, like with your inner eyes, and to be the question, not focusing on finding the answer or finding any security in the outside, but trying to just be with this non-knowledge, not knowing, not to know what will happen next, because I'm writing about this in my book on threshold times, changing times, where I say we often try to come from the old, which is not longer there, directly to the new one. Like you lost your job, everyone is asking you, oh, did you already find something new? Or maybe your partner, your relationship isn't no longer there. You had a breakup and everyone is like, oh, you will find someone new. And it's like there's autumn, the season of autumn in our life, like where we lost things, where things end. And we try to get directly from autumn to spring without winter, from the old autumn to the new spring. And winter time is this time of not knowing, where you have no answer, where you maybe feel like I felt in this dream where I was like totally wet things were torn, windows were broken, and I was totally alone, not knowing what to do in this classroom in the middle of a thunderstorm. And I think when in life, our personal life, or also in the world, things get harder and more difficult and faster changing, it helps a lot for ourselves to find this inner peace. I don't know if peace is the right word, but to find this inner peace, like the silence where we could find shelter, where we can go to when the outer world is like in a thunderstorm. And I think the first thing we can do is to better cope with these threshold times in life or in the world, is to find this silence in ourselves. To be aware that it's not a point to go directly from winter to spring, but that from autumn to spring, but that there is winter in between. Like we have the season of winter and we celebrate it. Often we do a lot of Christmas stuff, and then this time is not really dark and silence. But I think as humans and also as society, it's like maybe our task to get more familiar with this winter time, like what winter was made or was meant to originally. Dark, hard time often, a time to look inside, to not be that much outside. And from the season of winter, like what does nature do in this time? It rests, it takes its time, it gets its power for the next spring. And like this, we can go inside, we can watch ourselves, we can cry our tears, we can look at emotions which arise, we can be with ourselves, and we can like learn to be the question without having the answer yet. And we can learn to stand in this time between, not longer the old, not yet the new. And we can learn that this time of standing in between is a worthful time. That it's not a wasted time, like it's often handled in society. Like, oh, you don't have a solution yet, you have to get one, to find one, you have to get faster, and you are no one if you don't have any aim at the moment, if you don't know what to do. But nature says it's an important time. And with this picture or image of winter being the base of our life, being the base of every life, like the baby which grows inside the mother's belly and not outside. Like the most flowers, they start in the dark, in the soil, in the earth. And like everything which we do in life, every project, each idea, they all arise from inside. We think of them, we dream of them, we feel them in our heart. Whatever we do in the outside starts inside, starts in this winter time. And I put a link underneath this video to my German book about threshold times. At the moment it's just published in German, but you can have a look at the abstract from the book, and they also see the graphics which show what I'm talking about. This winter as a base, winter time as the transition time, which is really important and which helps us to find the strengths to cope with difficult times in future. Like when you have developed this silence, this trust in yourself after a breakup, after the death of an important people, it's possible for you to cope with coming threshold times in a better way, in an easier way. Easier is maybe the wrong word, but you found the strength to go through the threshold times. And so when I say we need storm-approved people, the sentence which I heard in this dream, I think one way to better cope with changing times in the world and in your life is to be aware that we have 4 seasons and not only 3, that winter time is important. To be aware that winter time may be the starting point for a really authentic life, a life where you really follow your heart, because winter time in our life also shows us who is really there, which people are really there in difficult times, who cares for you, what is really important for you when your world is falling apart. What helps you through these times? Normally it's not small talk, watching TV, money. Normally in these times it's really the question, what helps me to keep going on? Maybe some friends, maybe it's trust in God or life or nature. Maybe it's like an inner wisdom, what is right and what is wrong for you. And in my coachings, I often work with people who had a big disease or a lot of different changing times. And normally what was important for them before is often no longer important for them now, because their focus changed, their priorities changed. And what these winter times in life do is that they help us to see clearly what is important for me and what not. What am I really looking for? Or also the question is not longer what do I want in life, but the question may turn to what does life want from me? What is the way life wants me to go? And what I experience for myself and also in my work is that life often wants us to go different ways than the ways we planned in our heads. Like, I want to have a husband, I want to have a house, I want to have a wife, I want to be a brilliant whatever. And often life puts us in threshold times, changing times, when we are not listening for it for a long time. Sometimes we get ill, sometimes something else happens, and these changing times, which often arise from us not following the path of our heart, help us to clear our lives, to really have a look at it and to really see what is still important and what is not. To live and to go with the questions, to allow ourselves not having answers yet, and for that getting more familiar with being curious, with being like feeling raw, like not having the answers, not knowing the second, the third, the fourth step, but just knowing the next step. And also maybe at the moment not knowing the next step. And then just sitting there in the silence, being in this inner winter time, which is also like a big changing time when you have a look at the concept of the hero's journey. It's also the winter time when you meet the inner dragon, when you meet the inner fear. And this is often the fear of dying. Who am I without a job? Who am I without a partner? Who am I without whatever meant life for me? and what will last after all these things are no longer there. Who am I when everything in my life, all the summer stuff, who I am, when all things in life are, broke away, when there's nothing more I can refer to, like I'm Sabrina, the author, the journalist, the geographer, I'm the person living in Switzerland, when all these things are no longer there, all the things I defined myself as Sabrina, what will then hold my life together? What will then help me go through? And this is interesting. There's also a big kind of freedom in it, because when you are not searching and running for being someone in the outside world, it's possible to get slower, to get more silent, and to find this strength and peace in yourself I was talking about before. And then, with the image of the winter, then the winter gets your base. You're allowed just to be, not to do. And from this being, you will know that's the next step. And then you get back to silence. And maybe then you get an idea or a vision and you do the next step. And then you get back to silence. But you are not longer just running, because you feel like I have to be someone. But you are more in a normal, natural way, like the wheel of life, or the circle, the wheel of the year, this circle from winter, being in the silence, getting an idea of doing something, a next step, springtime, putting it outside, bringing it to the world like a project, summer, then going to rest again, autumn, and then going to silence again. And I find this is really important also in times of burnout, of just feeling to be like I'm running all the time and I'm not earning money, I'm not happy, I'm not whatever not, but I'm doing it, I'm still doing it. So it's the invitation to think about these winter times in your life. And then I think we will be or get a person who lives more from the inside to the outside, who learn to cope with crisis, with thunderstorms in life, and who found this stillness and this still point, the point between flood and ebb, and there's this still water point, where's this still water before times change again, and we learn to be like in the center of a wheel. When the wheel is turning, the center is always still, and we learn to be more like the center and not the wheel. And this is what really helps us in these changing times and threshold times. And so I would like to invite you that when there's a lot of storm in your life, if there is a breakup or you lost your job, whatever, we learned by society in these times to do a lot, to find solutions, to fix our lives. And what if you try, maybe just one day, not to fix your life? What if you allow yourself to stand between all the broken pieces and just say, yes, you acknowledge, yes, it is like this. My life is broken, or part of my life. It's always not the whole life, but it's maybe the work life or the partnership, or the house you were living in your home. What if you acknowledge that one part of your life is broken or feels broken at the moment, and you do not try to fix it? You just allow yourself to sit with all the feelings, to just be with it, and to be curious, have a look at it, what maybe arises as feelings, as thoughts, and maybe also if there will be a silence after some days or weeks when you just allow yourself to sit in it, to sit in like the holy shit which is all around you or how you feel inside, but you don't do anything with it. Not fixing it, not trying to do anything, but just sitting with it. And maybe you can experience that there is a new strength and silence which arises from yourself and which is independent from any outer circumstances, so that you find this peace and silence in yourself.